Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am Secondhand Cook, and you are watching SHC TV. So it's been a minute. Let's get started. Today, I want to talk about a few things. I kind of want to just catch up in a way, not the condiment. Catch up. I would say catch up, but I say catch up. Anyway, you know what I mean. And just talk about some of the things that have recently been happening that have been especially annoying in the Markle verse. And they include a myriad of things from Chrissy Teigen to photo trends on Megan's Instagram. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we'll start with the most annoying and absolutely, it goes beyond annoying to absolutely infuriating. So let's move on to this first topic. I'm starting with the worst first. Okay, to me, the worst thing happening right now is Harry and Meghan's mental health award of humanitarians of the year. Um, I don't know what in the hell is going on in people's mind. I do know what's going on. Money changed hands. And so this organization, which I have never heard of, called, let's see, the hell is it called? It's called Project Healthy Minds, is gave Harry and Meghan the Humanitarian of the Year award for their work. I'd be curious to see what even work they've done. They only work an hour a month according to Archwell tax records, so I apparently that's enough to make you the Humanitarian of the Year. But so they get on the stage and they make this speech, and it's awkward. And Harry looks like, he is pissed. And I didn't pull the speech because I just didn't want to go through it. But I would encourage you, if you haven't seen it, to take a look and just take a gander first at how Meghan Markle is dressed. And she is not dressed when she accepts the speech at this gala, in quotation marks, event. In this gala event, she is dressed in a blazer with no camisole, nothing underneath it. It's just like that man suit that goes completely down so you can see her non-existent cleavage. But it's totally inappropriate for the award, for the setting. But how unusual is it that Meghan would dress inappropriately for an occasion? It's commonplace, so that's not hugely worth commenting on. But I think what is so especially galling is just that any organization who has any idea about any of the bullshit going on with Harry and Meghan would extend this award to them, money changing hands or not. I mean, how many scandals have there been this year alone? The Sentabale scandal with Meghan's Netflix infringing on the and commercializing and edging out the president of the Sentabale Foundation, or the chairperson. Um, there's the African Parks scandal with human rights violations that Harry never has addressed or even acknowledged has happened. It's, there's the California wildfires that they turned into a media circus. And then I guess the only Meghan's humanitarian work of getting a teenager some Billie Eilish merchandise was, I guess that's considered humanitarianism. I don't know. I would not think it worthy of being called the Humanitarian of the Year, but that's me. Um, What I did do was look up the organization that is giving them this award. And as I said, it is an organization called Project Healthy Minds. And this is their about page on their actual website, where they say their focus areas are changing public attitudes around mental health, which I think anybody working in mental health has been working for a long time to change those attitudes. But I guess we can add, another organization to the pile trying to change stigma around mental health. I actually don't think, with the millions of Americans on, or Americans alone on antidepressant medication, that SSRIs is what I'm talking about, although there is a benzodiazepine crisis, which I think is even more serious than the opioid crisis, but probably not as widespread and not as deadly. But benzodiazepine is like Xanax, Ativan, those type of medications, and a lot of Americans take those. I would think that people, they may not want to advertise their mental health struggles, because a lot of people don't want to advertise their health issues. They want to keep that private. And yeah, I think privacy is a value that we could revisit a little bit in this area of in this era rather of sharing. I do think that it's good that people have come out and have spoken about their experiences, and I do think that that is important for those who feel comfortable doing that. But I think the attitude that we need to change the stigma around mental health, I think that's well in hand. Am I wrong? I just feel like a lot of people are open to the fact of saying, or at least discussing with their physicians and getting medications for being depressed or having anxiety, or anything like that. So anyway, their next cause or focus area is expanding access to mental health services and using data to influence systems. So those two kind of run together. They operate a database of mental health, um, their online therapy, and mental health clinicians, I guess would be the word. And so that's what they do. Their LinkedIn page, which I looked at to just see just how important this place is, and it's new on the scene, founded in 2020, a company size of 11 to 50 employees, so not that big, and they're just in software development, which the mental health databases where you can find therapists online. I mean, that's kind of a thing that's being done elsewhere as well. Um, but I guess I what I'm saying is I was interested in who was giving them this award, because I had not heard about this. I had not heard anybody really saying who was giving it to them. And there's a difference between the Nobel Peace Prize Society, giving them a humanitarian award, and this little startup, which is basically what it is. Um, they have kind of, I would say, hyperbolic claims of building an unprecedented national anti stigma and education program featuring celebrities. What an idea, to destigmatize mental health and meet millennials, Gen Z, where they actually are, which I guess is online. And they're creating the first national standards for what businesses should do better to serve the mental health needs of their employees. Um, I don't. Okay, fine, but it is incident. I mean, this is to keep some perspective around this award. This is the offering of a relatively small and new to the scene startup. So it's not a big deal award. And it probably was beneficial for them to give this award to Harry and Meghan, because one thing Harry and Meghan can do is point attention to something. And if their little company gets any kind of notice just based on this alone, there is the possibility of the stigma, getting pushed aside to focus on the company more. It does get them attention and get eyes on them. So, on that, I don't see, I don't, yeah, I don't condone it at all. I'm enraged about it, actually, because Harry, they get on the stage and Meghan starts her speech part, and she immediately, it's always all about her, which we know, and she starts talking about Archie and Betty, and how they're 6 and 4, and there's this like they're 6 and 4, can you believe it? And I'm thinking, you're standing up there claiming to be supporting parents who've lost their children due to online bullying, but you're gonna just tout your own very alive children, arguably, um, and you're going to just be like, oh, they're growing so much, to people whose children have stopped growing and will never grow again, and they will never see their children again. And that's how you're behaving on stage about an issue that you, and then talking in the same 2 or 3 minute time span about parents who've lost their children. She is so tone deaf and so absolutely hypocritical. It is mind boggling. It is. So anyway, they had to, a large part of what the speech was about was what the hell they actually did to get this award. Which, if you're humanitarian of the year, that means people should know what you did, because it was just so important that people know, oh, they gave their entire life fortune to you know cancer research or anything like that. I mean, it should be pretty well known. But again, this is not about actually awarding worthy individuals. This is about money changing hands so that a startup can get eyes on their company, and in so doing, at time, hopefully outlive the negative stigma that Harry and Meghan bring when they bring attention to an issue, and get their company goals. Sorry, um, get their company roles out there and being talked about. Um, so, what made me most furious about this, though, was that since we last got together, that wretched, uncorrectly named season 2 of her absolutely abjectly awful show With Love Megan came out, and I got through 2 episodes, and that was because she had this guest. Now, this was before the award was even handed out, and I just saw Chrissy Teigen, and I'm like, you tout yourself. Fucking phone is driving me nuts. I'm sorry, everybody, and I'm recording and I don't want to edit, so I just and re-record it. So I hope that's okay. Just, I'm sorry. Rant continued. So this woman Megan touts herself as being focused on internet violence and internet bullying and the parts of social media that are dangerous for kids. Yet she puts this individual, Chrissy Teigen or Teigen, whatever, onto her TV show. She does that. And then she accepts this award, indeed buys this award for herself, knowing full well that this woman is an infamous internet bully who told a teenager to that her fantasy was the teenager taking a dirt nap. And there's other problematic things that Chrissy Teigen has said vis-a-vis toddlers and tiaras, and there's whatever. And Chrissy Teigen has come out and apologized and scrubbed her account on Twitter and or whatever the hell it is now. And and this was 13 years ago. It was 2012. And do I think that the the problem of posting on the internet, like being a keyboard warrior, and then that being on the internet forever. Do I think there are some issues with that where you can be young and stupid and say something young and stupid, and then it's just or in a moment of bad judgment, say something, and then it's there forever. I think judging people on this type of stuff can be problematic. But I mean, I've never in my life told somebody to go commit suicide online or otherwise. I some of the other stuff she said is sufficiently wretched that I think she's a problem anyway. But if Megan wants to be friends with her, fine. But when you are calling yourself a representative of these children who had, and this is a monument to them in New York City. I believe it's New York City. Supposedly as a function of the Archwell Foundation. But these children, when you call yourself a representative of these children and you get an online bully to the extent who has actually told a child this age to go kill herself, and you put her on your show and you tout your long friendship, which you call Megan's idea of friendship is knowing somebody for a length of time. Like she thinks, having been to their wedding 15 years ago and then seeing them again on her show because she's gotten that far back in her Rolodex, she thinks that makes it a 15-year friendship. But that's not it. Really, she was on Deal or No Deal, tarting around with Chrissy Teigen, and that's how they met. But when you put a person like Chrissy Teigen on your TV show while you're at the same time saying you're a representative of these dead children and their parents, you are a level of vile that I can't really fathom. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so I said we were going to do the worst first, rant about that over, moving on. Speaking of With Love, Megan, as I said, I did watch 2 episodes, and when Chrissy Teigen came on, I was like, no, can't do the rest. If you want me to review any of them or just the second series as a whole, we can do that. We can talk about that. I don't really want to do episode by episode. Oh, God. I don't know how to turn off the notifications on my Mac. But anyway. So but I'll watch the first 2 episodes. The first episode had that dude Daniel, that kid Daniel on there. That guy, like, there seems to be something a little off about him. I mean, the fact that he defends Meghan Markle to his dying breath, which I think he has been sufficiently love bombed and doesn't know that he has been. But he just seems so shocked at what happens on each episode. It's like he cannot believe it. He cannot believe that you could put food together like this, or that a flower could go with this flower and this flower. Or that you could make um, tie-dyed scarves or whatever they did with the colors and the dye. I can't remember what it's called, and I'm not gonna look it up. He just seems kind of touched to me, and I don't know if I'm alone there, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Um, Episode one was clearly a Netflix arranged episode that they didn't have a particular guest because Daniel had to come back, and then Netflix employs the other two chefs. The one is Christina Tosi, I think, and she runs that Milk Bar restaurant and is a pretty well known kind of dessert chef. And the other man's name, it's David something, and his last name escapes me right now. But it was, I mean, it was boring. And the guy David, the chef David, just seemed like, why in the hell am I here? He seemed over it pretty early on, which he had to know it was just a schmoozing exercise for as a payment to the Netflix gods. But that's what I think as a summation of the first two episodes of With Love, Megan. That's all I'm going to say about it at this point. I might be open to doing, if anybody expresses interest, just maybe a whole series, like 15-20 minute video addressing low lights of the entire series, but I can't do episode by episode. I can't do it. So, and luckily it's been out long enough. And also I purposefully did not want to watch it right when it came out because I did not want it to I didn't want to give her the views, and especially right then at the beginning when they're really paying attention to, is this on the top 10 list? And it didn't even break it, which I knew it wouldn't, but like I said, I didn't want to contribute to the problem, so I watched it a little bit later. All right, let's move on. What's next? Megan's Instagram. What do you do when you've just been handed a humanitarian award and even have made part of your speech about how you're worried about Archie and Lily when they come online in a few years? What do you do right after you've done that and accepted a humanitarian award for your work on the mental health effects of online bullying and children being exposed to dangers of the internet? What do you do right after that? You post your child on the internet naturally and use her as a marketing ploy for your company. Megan actually posted this one on her personal account, but she uses, as we know, Lily in her marketing for Ass Ever. And, and this is going to seem trifling, especially after we've kind of talked about what we've talked about. But now is trifling time in the show, and I'm going to be a little trifling. But before I'm trifling, I want to say, just so you know, I'm not a heartless, child-hating villain. I think that little beekeeper picture right there, which is probably a screenshot that Megan took from rentabeekeeper.com and put on her own Instagram, for all I know, because we don't know who either of those two people are. But that little kid just stumbling around in that beekeeper hat is a cute thing. And that first picture that they released of Lily, that is a cute baby, whoever's it is. That's a cute little baby. I did wonder though what Megan was doing, if in fact this is her child or she had anything to do with the portrayal of said child. Why she dressed her up like herself wearing that toilet paper fascinator. Like, that's what the picture of Lilibet looks like is like she's got the toilet paper fascinator on the side of her head and a blue dress, just like Megan. And I think Lily is well dressed there. But has it gone unnoticed to you guys that the kids, and especially Lily, when they're shown on Instagram, they are a pajama clad or threadbare clothing wearing, unkempt appearance looking, mismatched, barefooted mess. Am I alone in that? Which I would not like pictures of me in my pajamas being on the internet for worldwide attention personally. It's just me. But I started to notice that Megan prefers a haphazard appearance for her children when Lilibet went to the 4th of July parade. And she obviously wasn't feeling it. She seemed kind of upset, maybe tired or something throughout the parade. But she wasn't happy. And sometimes, I know you've called the paparazzi to tell them that you and your kids are going to be at a 4th of July parade and you want the photo op. But sometimes if your kid's cranky and not into an activity, you just take them home or you let them go sit in the car and rest or listen to music or whatever. I'm just saying she was fussy throughout that parade and I felt for her. But it was the first time I noticed that she is not very well dressed. So the first thing I noticed was her hair. Now, an attempt has been made, you can see, to do something with her hair because there's some kind of weird ponytail action going on. And a barrette, which looks like a black velveteen barrette, put in her hair. Now, do little girls want their pigtails and, before their hair is grown out? Yes. And it looks like there might be a pigtail there, and you have to do those and let some hair fall. And I understand that. I have little girl, or I had little girls. They're teenagers now, but that's just the way it is. Why though would you put the mismatched that hair clamp there, or hair barrette? We call them hair clamps. Why? It bothered me, and I get why her hair looks messy in that picture, but what also bothered me is she's wearing a long sleeved like Laura Ashley type dress. Like it may even have smocking on the front of it. I can't tell. And it looks like knee socks and red shoes, which maybe she's in a phase where she just really loves her red shoes. I had red shoes at one point and really loved them because it was the closest thing I could get to Dorothy shoes. And I loved The Wizard of Oz when I was a kid. That's a little glimpse into my life. Who gives a damn? Let's move on. But she's wearing knee socks, which is not a thing, and the long sleeved prim and proper dress when you should be wearing your 4th of July tank top and your little Stars and Stripes Forever skirt or whatever. You can go to Walmart and get some cute little Garanimals mismatched, 4th of July stuff and put it on. It was not appropriate for the occasion. And why would I expect a child to look better than, or be able to execute something better than her mother can? And I realize, and the only reason I'm commenting on this, I don't want to comment on the children in general, is that these are choices Megan's making. These are things that are engineered and thought out and planned and controlled within an inch of their lives, which is why you're like, why couldn't you do this better? We know you put a lot of time and thought into it, and this is what you came out with. Do better. But another thing I noticed is how many pictures there are of those kids climbing up her. Like, have you noticed that they're always inappropriate? It's not inappropriate. It's not an inappropriate picture. And, maybe they do that. But to me, they look uncomfortable. It's all, I mean, it's like, Harry, go take a picture quick, and then people know I hug my kids. That's the vibe I get. They're in their pajamas, they're barefoot. There's so many barefoot pajama pictures. The next one being an example. Now, it does look like somebody, and I don't think it's Megan because it's too cute of a little hairstyle, that somebody has done a little updo for Lilybet. And that's the only time I've seen the child's hair look like it's been recently brushed thoroughly. The next picture kind of shows what I mean. She's got a a hair elastic that's been in there, you can tell, for a while, and it's all falling out. Her hair's long enough to keep an elastic in there, and her hair just doesn't ever look brushed. It doesn't ever look. You would think with the comments on her her red hair and her blue eyes that they would emphasize more of that, and comb the hair. But and I'm saying this as a criticism of parenting, not as a criticism of the child. And she's always in pajamas or these threadbare cotton, they're play clothes. But if you're using her for like your Instagram marketing, I don't get it. And I don't think I'm alone. I don't want to spend more time on it. But if you have feelings about this one way or the other, feel free to unload in the comments as I have unloaded on you here, if you're still with me. Okay, moving on. The fashion week. So I'm not going to go deep into this because I didn't really care about a lot of it, and a lot of it's been kind of commented on ad nauseum. So, um, really quickly, I just want to put my favorite moment was Dame Kristen Scott Thomas, you know, ignoring her at the and just walking off, like when Megan's trying to get their attention, and even has reached out and touched the woman that is talking to Dame Kristen. And that was funny. You can tell by that odd cape thing she's wearing that she's revived her Jet Alley look from that maternity dress she wore that was $100,000, bespoke maternity dress. Who spends $100,000 on maternity wear at that? I mean, so I said way back in when this came out, this picture of her in I said she looked like she had wandered off of a Star Wars set, movie set, and and apparently other people see this because she is wearing what many have called her Jedi look here at the fashion show. But yeah, my favorite moments from that were Kristen Scott Thomas ignoring her, and that's pretty much it. Now, of course, we know she laughed at the woman who tripped, the model who accidentally tripped, and looked over to Marcus, and Marcus ignored her. It was like, have some freaking class, you clown. And it pissed Megan off, and so that was a good moment. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, the awkward Balenciaga do double cheek kissy thing that she tried to pull off and couldn't. So that went on. All right, next thing I want to talk about was, as ever, marketing. Now, she's put up a couple of more pictures since I put this together. But the last thing I saw was, and this is marketing. This is the only marketing this brand has right now. So she puts up a hazy picture of some hedges with Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above. And then she puts in the comments, and a little thing called love, which is the lyrics to a song. If you don't know, if you're a little younger and don't know, um, and this is somehow advertisement for her brand. So I made my own parody of this was never official account, and I rewrote the lyrics, and I have a white trash backyard picture that I found online, and to whomever put that picture together, it looks photoshopped, but there are backyards like this, so you don't worry. This is a real representation of areas of our great nation, some of which I've lived very very near. Um, Even at this moment. So, anyway, I rewrote the lyrics to let me tell you about the trailers and the trucks and HOA that gives no fucks and the moonshine making bucks. Meghan Markle still sucks, and since I made the parody account, Serena's mom liked it, Michelle Obama, Canada, others. You should check out the account. I'm kidding, it doesn't exist. Don't go look for it. I just made the stunt page. So speaking of as ever, I have never been to their website. I've never looked at the products. I've tried to not give it the clicks, but then I was like, I'm gonna give it the clicks. And I'm gonna talk about it with you guys. So I am for just a few minutes. Um, this is the landing page. Her scrawly, spidery handwriting, her flouncing around in some kind of floaty dress in the waves, which in the Pacific Ocean, which does not want this kind of attention, and this Meghan Markle swimming in it or splashing in it is totally against the Pacific Ocean's brand, but whatever. The palm tree crest with the rescue chickens to each side, that's the landing page. What the hell? I mean, she's obviously doing her own marketing. And I don't know, for all I know, she did this website, or she at least, we know she designed every piece of it. But I went and there's two links off of the side. They're over here to the corner. I kind of clipped them in putting the slides together. But one of them is shop and the other is wine. So I clicked on shop, and this is what they have: a grand total of 9 products. It looks like it might be 10, but don't let that middle spot fool you. That is a blank spot on the bingo card so that you can click there and put your email address in for whenever more products roll out. She can send you an email. Sell your email address. um, Now, one thing that bothers me is that the supposedly 10th block down there is not centered. I don't know why that is, but it's not. But I really have to share with you some of the nonsense that is here. If you've been to the site and have explored it, at your leisure, you know. But these captions are, that's another thing. Like 9 products, and at least 2 of them are supposedly sold out. Oh, and there's a limit of 6 per person. So don't let that don't go there thinking you're going to buy more than 6, because you're not. Because you want 6 of her orange marmalade. I don't know. There's some crazies who probably do, for all I know. But she's written all this stuff, these plug lines, and that she's got suggestions for serving. But she's written like golden and fragrant, with a lively zest that lingers and a refined sweetness. Our rendition of a tea time classic. Spoon it over warm scones, swirl it in yogurt, or I should say yogurt, because that's the British pronunciation. And she's obviously trying to rope the UK into her marketing because the UK has tea time. Americans don't. There's not tea time happening in the American Riviera Orchard, Megan. You know that, or you should. But anyway, so smooth it over warm scones, swirl it into yogurt, or enjoy it simply on toast. I mean, the UK has to be, you guys have to be so pissed off at her constantly throwing you under the bus while simultaneously wanting to be you. And it's like what she does to Princess Catherine. It's like Princess Catherine is the microcosm of the UK as a whole. Meghan wants to throw her under the bus, but also wants to be her. It's crazy. All right, let's just look at a couple more of these. Oh, this is how you use marmalade, in case you didn't know, or marmalade. Spread generously over warm toast or an English muffin, not an American muffin, an English muffin, for a morning that feels golden. And then she's got what looks like what's it called, Dunkin' Donuts donut holes here, and of course some kind of alcoholic beverage because that's all the woman drinks. Okay, I'm not going to go into any of the other products, but lest you worry though, you can, if you want to right now, unless something has changed in the past couple of days, go to the site and get you some flower sprinkles or weeds. This is potpourri, for God's sake. It's potpourri. Go to like a Kirkland's or Royal Market or um, Home Goods and get potpourri. Why spend $15 on potpourri? I mean, I guess you can't put potpourri on your food, but no one wants wheeze in their food, Megan. Jesus. Anyway, moving on to the wine. I'm almost as mad about this site as I am about the humanitarian award. But you have to give them your birthday to submit the wine thing so they can market that too and put it with your IP address and whatever else she's selling for your data. So this page is on the site. A page of her walking through like some hydrangeas or hibiscus. I don't know what the hell she's walking through. I don't really do flowers. But then she has written up this thing. As ever, wine is more than a brand. It's a love language. And an extension of our curated collection of products, as wine opens a world of beauty and elegance. Effortless elegance, not just elegance, effortless elegance. She loves her alliteration, does our Megan. One sip at a time. And then on the Instagram account, there's this as if like somebody has. If you've got a bottle of wine in your yard, I just imagine like the beer cans, and I'm just thinking about somebody's gone on a bender if you woken up and found a bottle of wine in your yard. Like either there's been a grocery bag emergency or you've gone on a bender. So I just, that made me laugh. I wanted to share that with you. Okay. So last thing, if you're still with me, then I'll know based on the comments, because this I don't know I've seen anybody talk about. But if any of you noticed on her Instagram or in photos that Megan has this tendency to pull when first of all, she has to hold everybody and manhandle everybody, as we know. But she always pulls hands towards her crotch. There are so many pictures I found, even with her children, with their hands, like this picture. I And maybe it's just that one's just an innocent picture, but I would move my kid's hand down a little bit. And I know they came out of there, but not to be too crude. But he is of an age where I would shift that down a little bit. I would just have that physical boundary. I was a very earth mother type mother when my kids were young, that age. And, I was very touchy feely, huggy, kissy. And, I didn't breastfeed kids past the age of 2, but I did breastfeed for an extended amount of time. Even though I worked, and I'm saying that I get that there is a physical bond between and that kids, but am I alone? I just that am I the only one that I don't want to be too crude. And then you see this picture where she's am I the only one seeing this? I don't know. This picture was just unfortunate on so many levels. Um, you got this picture. People's hands always have to go in front of her into that direction, is all I'm saying. And I want to know, and for those of you who've gone this length with me, I know you're committed to me, and I appreciate you. Tell me, am I only one seeing this? I feel bad even asking. But I just noticed it, and I can't stop finding pictures of this. So, this has been Complaining and Explaining with Secondhand Coke. Tell me what you would like to complain about and explain about next, or about which you would like to complain and explain, about which you would next like to complain and explain. You tell me in the comments. I know we have to finish Lady C's book. Maybe we'll do that on the next episode. If you want a quickie overview of With Love, Megan, with my observations, I could do something like that. Where do we want to go next? And you tell me. I also have been enrolled or embroiled rather, in a trials news cycle. And if anybody is interested in my thoughts on true crime, I could comment on some things. I'm just saying. If that's something you'd like to hear as my opinion or observations or experiences with certain court cases that have gotten some national attention, that I could give you some of that. But if you're not interested in it, then fuck it. So well, on that note, we'll part for this episode. Thank you for rejoining me after a hiatus, and I hope to see and talk with you soon. Definitely sooner than this last break we've had. Hopefully this later on next week, but I don't want to make promises unless I can keep that one. Okay, thank you very much, and like, share, subscribe, tell me your feedback on some of the things we've talked about, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.